Hey guys, everybody hear me? How's everybody today? Everybody doing okay? So I have a cool story. My computer broke, and so I'm in my son's bedroom using his. Hey Pamela, I was hoping you would be here. It's usually you're the only girl that's been on my live stream that has commented. So, high classic hauling. Oh, Dave's in the Czech Republic. Timothy, I have not a lot going on right now. It's just household chores. The kids are at their aunt's house right now, and they're going to be back a little bit later. So it's just been me doing chores. House is pretty empty. Me and the animals. You can see one of the cats is on Hale's bed asleep. Hi, Tony. Montreal. Hi, Derek. Welcome. So I'm hoping that you guys all got a chance to see the video that I made the other day about dumping truck and trailer. I kind of wanted to just pop on here for a little bit and see if anybody had any questions about how that went. And Justin. It's funny. Yeah, Justin's all over Instagram. Justin's got the gram on lock. Oh, that's cool that you're 17 and you have a truck. That's cool. I don't have a truck. I drive somebody else's, but that's okay. Thank you, Derek. I got a couple of emails from people asking questions about it, and I just wanted to get on here and answer some questions if there was any from anyone else, because I can see how it could be confusing. I tried to explain it the best I could. I do it every day, so it's hard for me to explain. How's Livewire doing? Oh, yeah, this is me looking like a girl. I'm sure you guys are impressed. I didn't go to church, of course, but I don't really have a lot of clothes left that fit. Let's just be real here. You guys like my son's bedroom? Because my computer broke. I need a new computer. Ian, that's called a transfer. I don't drive transfer. The newer ones are really safe, but when I first started driving truck and people offered me jobs driving a transfer, they weren't that safe. It's really easy, or it used to be really easy, to accidentally lose your trailer tub onto the ground. And I mean, I've seen dozens on the ground over the years, probably close to 100 of them. when it comes to driving a transfer truck, in my opinion, it's not when you're gonna dump the tub on the ground, or it's not a matter of if you're gonna dump the tub on the ground. It's a matter of when. Yeah, the reason why the trailer's so long is for axle weight because there has to be a certain footage between all of the axles to keep it safe for bridge weight. Oh, Justin, I'm sure Livewire is pretty happy after his haircut and getting ready for his evening activities. Not my cup of tea, and kind of hilarious when people do things like that and then are very vocal about it. I don't know. You do you, boo. Brian, yeah. There's obviously like I live out in the suburbs slash the country. We don't have any out here, of course, and you wouldn't want to see rioting out here because every one of the houses on my block has got 15 or 20 guns, and nobody's putting up with that around here. But it was happening in Seattle, and there was some private security I know that had guns, and I saw some video of rioters taking guns out of police cars and things, and it was kind of scary. But that's like I think it's like 35 miles to downtown from my house. Luckily, Pamela, no, we haven't decided on anything. I'm really open. I have a list of about 20 names that I really like, but my fiance, he doesn't like any of them. Hi, Jamie. Oh, thanks for subscribing. Justin, the truck is it's 75 feet short, but it's almost 85 feet when it's stretched out. In the video, I wasn't stretched out, so don't tell anybody. The scales are all closed right now because of the virus, and because I work for a company that has nice equipment, I'm not likely to get pulled over unless I'm doing something really illegal. And I don't think that the scale cops even really know unless they really look closely at what you've got going on if you're necessarily because if I'm not stretched and I'm loaded, I'm overweight. But yeah, I just don't stretch out unless it's necessary because it it is really just a long trailer. Yeah, Timothy, we've been really busy. Last week, because of the holiday, we worked 410s, which ends up meaning that we worked like 412s because we almost always work an hour or two overtime after the 8. But we um, we're doing the so I was at work each day at least 10 hours, which is totally fine. I'm used to that. But it's the days when it got up to 12s where I was like, oh my God, I just want to go home. Uh, yeah, Justin, I know you can't make that stuff up. Oh my God, I get really cringed out when people announce things that are not really everybody's business over the CB. Like, if you want to talk about your personal life, maybe if you're on like a channel where you think it's just you and your buddies, it's one thing. But if like you're on the job site or the pit channel and you're just announcing all your drama, I always like, oh, let's not do that. But yeah, Brian, it is crazy. Um, yeah, classic hauling. I've seen your dad's truck around. And Dave, yes, I am pregnant. I am. I'm 21 weeks. Yeah, Derek. So that obviously that's not set up for trucks. It's just it's a good example on how you can most of the time get through any gate as long as you wiggle your trailer right. Um, that is a private, it's a private business, or it's a gun club is what it is. They shoot skeet there. Um, and so the gate is, set up for cars, and that's about it. But I I've gone through that gate a few times. I did nail the driver side fence pole or fence post with the um, the lug nut covers on my drop axle. I knocked about six of them off and just completely shattered them. And but by the time that the trailer moved further forward, it had moved further away from the post, so it didn't. Uh, I was able to just pull through, and then I had to go back and pick up my covers and throw them in the trash. I still haven't gotten new ones. Yeah, Timothy, I don't usually worry about the scales because the scale cops are usually pretty nice to me because I work for a company that has really nice equipment, and I am also clean cut and female, so I don't. I mean I've had an overweight ticket, um, but it was my drop axle was failing the valve on it, and I couldn't. I put it down and it like touched the ground gently, but it didn't actually take any weight off the other axles. And we got that all fixed, and then they actually. I think I just paid a small fee, and they took the overweight ticket off my record. It was like a fix-it ticket. Dave, I not right now, but I have had a dirt bike in the past, but I sold it because it was a little too big for me, and so I'll be looking at getting another one probably next summer. But I don't know if I'll have time for riding because I did, when my other kids were real little, I had a hard time finding time to ride. So it might be a little while. Striker, my favorite truck is the truck that I drive. That's not any surprise. I love that truck. A T800 with four axles and then a four axle pup. Perfect. Yeah, Derek, oops. Oh well. I mean, everybody makes mistakes. Ron, I'm doing great. How are you? Yeah, Jamie, those things are just plastic anyways, and I don't care if they're on there or not. But the owner of our company really likes them, and so they're just in the shop. The new ones, I can just go get them. Uh, my truck is a manual. I don't like W900s. That's my opinion. Everybody has their own. Not my thing. I don't like long noses. I like to be able to see what's going on around me. A couple of the guys that I work with have had accidents in our trucks, even in our T800s, because they haven't seen cars that are driving next to them at their front axle, at their steer axle. And that just, the longer the nose, the worse that gets. Dave, we have an automatic. It is an Allison. I like driving it fine. I think I have a couple videos of me driving it. It's a really good truck. It's brand freaking new. And it's been about 10 years, maybe longer, since I've driven an Eaton Fuller auto. I don't have an opinion about them because I don't have enough recent experience to be able to tell you. Um, yeah, Jamie, I got a FaceTime from my 7-year-old on Thursday afternoon. My fiance was out in the garage, and my 7-year-old, she decided that she was hungry and she wanted some bacon. And she FaceTimed me to show me that the bacon was getting a little burnt, but it wasn't like getting crispy. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, where's Bobby? And she goes, he's in the garage. And I was like, so you just decided to make some bacon on your own? And she's like, I've watched you do it 100 times. And I'm like, all right, girl. Okay. And I just told her, I was like, if you pull that bacon out of the pan and put it on a paper towel, it'll get crispy. And she's like, oh, okay. And then like she sets her tablet down, and then she grabs a pair of tongs and she pulls it out and puts it on the plate. And I'm like, the tablet's on its side, and there's just bacon grease going everywhere. And I was like, make sure you turn the pan off, you know. And she's like, okay. And she reaches up. She's 7. She's not a big girl. And I was like, where's your brother? And she pans the camera around, and her 10-year-old brother is sitting there reading a book at the island. And I was like, Kale, why didn't you help your sister? And he goes, she didn't ask for help. Good God, children. Ian, it's not monotonous at all. It's pretty quick. I don't know if you watched the video that I made about dumping truck and trailer. It's really easy. The circles aren't that bad, actually. But if you take a look at the video, I did kind of like, I went through it and I did it while explaining it, and then I showed it separate because I wanted to kind of give you an idea what goes on in the cab when you're dumping out. But I would say that from the time I pull into a private dump like that, where I don't have to drive way to the back, and to the time I drive out is 5 minutes. It doesn't take that long. I really enjoy it. I like the bigger circles. Don't get me wrong. Like if I have a 15-minute round, I get really tired of that pretty quick. Yeah, Jamie, most trucks are going to be going to automatics really soon. Not a lot of drivers, not a lot of new drivers can drive manuals. It's just not legal for them. Dave, that's your opinion. Everybody has their own opinion. Justin, I think your kids are a little bit younger than mine. She's definitely a go-getter. I don't know where she gets that. Not at all. She wanted bacon, so she made it happen. Dave, yes, I love to cook. I cook a lot. My fiance works swing shift usually, and he's not around in the evening for me to cook for him, and most of the days that he's at work, the kids are at their dad's, so it's just me by myself. And so I like to cook food for him to take for lunch the next day. So I'm always looking for recipes that are good reheated. But I love to bake more than anything, and I shouldn't bake because when I bake, I always bake things that I really like, and then I have to try them over and over again to make sure that they're just right. Brian, yeah, the reason why it's so beautiful here is that it rains all the freaking time. It's rained pretty much nonstop since yesterday morning. It just now started letting up, but it was like aggressively like pouring down rain, where if you went outside in it, you'd just be soaked. But that's how everything stays green. BOC, yeah. Money. Yep. Dow, yeah, it's really when you are home all the time, cooking is the best thing you can do with your time, other than getting caught up on household projects. Brian, yeah, Vancouver's really nice. I've only been up there a couple of times, but I've been up to BC a lot, but just all the way to Vancouver only a handful of times. Anthony, yeah, I'm not a big fan of the rain. I think it's just because I like to be outside and I don't like to be cold. When I was younger and I didn't get cold as easy, I definitely liked it more because the rain didn't really bother me, but now it bothers me. Dave, I don't know who that is. I'm too old for TikTok. Way too old for TikTok. I've seen TikTok videos, but I've never actually been on their website or their app. Oh, Jamie, yeah, I've been down there a lot, obviously. Timothy, yeah, it's drier. It's very dry in Eastern Washington. It's very dry. Um, it's in winter, it's below freezing all the time. They don't get a lot of snow accumulated in Eastern Washington, but it does snow. But it's below freezing all winter, and then in the summertime it's 100 degrees, and there's no in between. But pretty much everything in Eastern Washington, unless it has high altitudes, is brown. If I was going to move, I would just move out of Washington, to be honest. Yeah, Darwin, I've been all the way up to Kamloops a few times. I really liked it up there, but I haven't really spent much time in Vancouver. Brandon, yeah. I painted, like, the inside of my house was painted before I bought it, and I bought it just like a couple years ago. And so it's all painted one color because it was a flip house. So they just basically, they textured and they sprayed every room exactly the same. And I'm not a brown person, so as you can see, it's kind of a tan color, and or a cream or something. And it's not my style. So I've been painting, and I don't like painting. Ohio. I've never even been to Ohio, Justin. I don't even know what it's like there. I remember people talking about having family living there in Ohio, and how housing was so cheap, because housing has always been expensive here, and it just seems to be getting more and more expensive all the time. Christian, yeah, everything's good with trucking. I was hoping to get another video out this week, but I did the exact same thing every day this week, and I didn't think everybody needed to see me do the same thing 4 days in a row for 10 to 12 hours a day. I don't watch Brian Van Dyne. I don't know who that is. Um, the George Floyd incident, it's sad, and obviously, like, the cop that killed him will be investigated and punished accordingly. But I don't know anything about it other than what everyone's seen. Yeah, Brandon. So I live in a manufactured home, which is a nice house, but it's 1,400 square feet, I think, and I have 5 acres, but 2.5 acres, or 2.5 of my 5 acres, are wetlands. And when I bought my house, it was pretty expensive, but if I tried to buy my house today, even at my high income, I wouldn't be able to afford it. It's because it's worth so much more now, and housing is just going up so fast, and it's just been crazy. Like, I've been saving to buy a new truck for, I don't know, for a year now, and it's going to be a while. It's really expensive to live here, and I do make good money. It's not that I don't. I do make very good money. Uh, I don't know what we have planned. I went to Maui with my kids last year, but we'll see. We bought a timeshare um, that has a couple of properties in Maui, but I've been there before, so I kind of want to see something else. Jamie, yeah, I I've only been to Texas. I went to Texas for a wedding, so and it was right on the border of New Mexico, so I haven't really seen Texas or spent any time there. Yeah, Derek, I'll just make the same video every day, and you guys can see what I do repeatedly every day, continuously. I'm sure it'd be really enjoyable for everyone. Thank you, Christian. That's very sweet. Dave, yes, I do like guns. Darwin, I am going to work as long as I can. My goal, because I think the baby's scheduled to be born on a Monday, and my goal is to work up until that Friday. It's all going to depend on how I feel and how well he's doing with dealing with being in the truck and me sitting so much. I have made some changes on things how I work in the truck. I used to not get out on the load side. I would only get out of the truck on the dump side, if that makes sense. But now I get out on each side no matter how long the rounds are to walk around because of the possibility of blood clots and things like that. But I'm trying to be as smart as possible, and I'm trying to keep my weight down as best I can because with my first child, I gained a lot of weight, and I had a really hard time functioning in normal life with all that extra weight. And I think that it would be really uncomfortable to be super overweight and I don't know, drive truck. I see people do it, obviously, but for me, I think it would be really hard. Brian, I'm over 35 an hour. I actually, as of tomorrow, I'm almost 45 an hour. I don't know how much motor mounts cost. I did lose a motor mount, and just the part cost. I think it was $520 for both the truck side and the motor side. Um, you'd have to get with your parts guy about that. Brandon, you have fun doing that. Yeah, Jamie, I don't feel bad. I'm gonna try to go until right up until the end. I'm gonna work as much as I possibly can, so that I can take off as much time after he's born. Because it's not I don't have any kind of paid leave or anything like that, so it's all going to be done off of how much money we've been able to save up and making it possible for me to stay home as long as possible. And my fiance has been really great about making sure that uh, he's cut his spending back, not buying so many tools and helping me out a lot so that we can so that I can stay home. You know, we're hoping for up to 8 weeks. It doesn't sound like that long, but I'll just put it this way: uh, the longest I've stayed home after having my C-sections is 3 weeks, because it was a matter of whether we could put food on the table or not when I was married before. And I know I'm capable of going back to work at 3 weeks, but I don't want to do that. I would like to stay home a little bit longer. Dave, you know what? driven a Mack with a Detroit, but I don't. It's been so long, I don't remember anything about it. Uh, it had a tendency, if you rolled back on hills, to run backwards. So if that is the two-stroke you're talking about, I was also really new to truck driving, so knowing the difference between the two would be really hard. Yeah, Timothy, no, I'm not going to be doing that. Not women can do. I've known some women that have been able to have natural births that have been able to do stuff like that. And one of my friends, she had a baby, and she had the baby at 9 o'clock in the morning, and then she was home from the hospital. She had a natural birth. She was home from the hospital at 4, and then at 4 a.m. the next morning, she was up cleaning the garage while her husband took care of the baby. And good for her. That's amazing. I'm not that much of a badass. I'm just not. I don't know how to drive a twin stick, but I've never been around one, so I've never had a chance to even get into one. Yeah, babysitters living in North Carolina don't help. Justin, I don't know if obviously, like you guys, I haven't had a channel for very long, and uh, people don't really know me that well, but I will do whatever it takes to make sure that my kids are taken care of and are well fed and they have a nice, warm place to live. I will do whatever it takes. I don't care how much work I have to put in. I will do anything. Dave, which company are you talking about? Are you talking about the company I work for now, or yeah, I don't know. Jamie, that's funny. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is off of the top of my head because I haven't looked at the calendar, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be born on October 5th. So, Ryan, I'm not going to say the name of the company because it's just, I'm just not going to. But there's full shots of my truck. You can read it on the side of the truck. You can read it on the side of my sideboards. Scooby-Doo, hello. Brandon, I am a Ford woman. I have a Ford Edge, and then when my fiance bought his brand new Ranger, part of the deal was that I got custody of the F-350. We have an 05 F-350 manual that he built the motor on. It's about 750 horsepower. That it's not a daily driver. It's not good for daily driving. It's good for truck things and going fast. That's about it. Right, Justin? Yeah, I don't know. I'm a people pleaser. I also will do whatever it takes to make the people in my life happy. But I also I don't compromise with things. Like, if I'm in a bad situation, I'm not going to compromise and let my life be bad. I've made bad mistakes and done stupid things to my life to make it bad, and you always just have to pull yourself up and do whatever it takes to make sure your life is good. Dave, before I joined the union, I had been driving off and on for 8 or 9 years. And then the most I ever made, when I was hydroseeding, I made $30 an hour, and that was back at the beginning. And part of that is that I don't know if you guys know anything about hydroseeder. Nobody wants that job. Nobody in their right mind wants to do that job. And they needed a second driver to double shift their hydroseed truck. And to get somebody that would be willing to work nights, they paid $30 an hour, and that was me. And I think I was 22 at the time. And then when I got into dump trucking, it was $17 an hour ish. And then by the time I realized that the non-union job wasn't for me, I had moved up to $22 an hour. And I worked for a company that had 15 trucks, and I think there was 14 drivers. And I made $22 an hour, and I kept up with the top drivers, like doing the same amount of rounds in the same amount of time. And then there was an obvious, at that company, out of the 14 drivers, there was an obvious A team and an obvious B team, like the people that went slow and kind of slacked off at the dump site. Like, we're always complaining about how the job wasn't like all these problems with the job, and then the A team that just did whatever, I was definitely a part of the A team. And all of the drivers, even though I'd been there longer than some of them, they all made $26 an hour, and I made 22. And I was having a really hard time making the ends meet, and I was working as a barista on the weekends. And Davy, my youngest, she had to have her tonsils out, and my insurance required that you pay the deductible in cash at the surgery center, like up front before they do the surgery. And she was 3 years old, and the deductible was $5,000. And I decided while I was in that room, like in the waiting room while she was getting her surgery, that I needed to join the union because I needed better pay, and I needed benefits for her that didn't cost me all of my money. Because I was paying $5,000 a year to my company to have her to have health insurance, and then the deductible was $5,000. And at the time, I was sled pulling, and I had a bunch of extra parts that had been sponsored to me the last season, and I was planning on using some of them the next season if the companies continue their sponsorship, but it's usually a sponsorship is for one season. And I luckily was able to sell a bunch of the parts for my truck to facilitate paying the deductible for her to have the surgery that she definitely needed, because they don't take tonsils out unless you absolutely need it anymore. But and that I went from $22 an hour to $31 an hour. And then in the last 4 years, we've gone from the 31 to tomorrow, it goes to 43.63. But that's not my total package. That's just what I get as an hourly wage. In addition to that, that is our medical coverage, which costs the company about $10 an hour that I work. And then my pension, I think, is $10.75 now an hour. Shoestring chart, yeah. No, I think every company has an A team and a B team, and it's really obvious which team you're on. If you don't see the difference, you're probably on the B team. Dave, yeah, I'm in the Teamsters Union. Yeah, Jamie, I don't blame you. Healthcare is so important. When you're a mom, or even just as an individual, like I don't go to the doctor a lot for myself, but it seems like my kids are at the doctor or the dentist all the time. I had to take Davy to the dentist the other day because she's got 2 adult teeth coming in the same spot in her mouth, and they're probably gonna have to pull a tooth to make room for it. We don't have a lowboy. When I move equipment, I use a 2-axle equipment trailer, or we have a tri-axle tilt deck that we have. I always try to take 3-axle tilt deck because it's better, the tilt thing, even though it's hilarious to watch me try to get the tilt back flat when it's empty because I have to stand on the end of it and jump to get it to slowly go down. But I usually try to take that for two reasons. The first one is that it's a lot easier to drive the equipment up onto the trailer with the tilt deck and off of the trailer than to drive it down the ramps or up and down the ramps. And the this is bad to say. You make $2 an hour more if you drive the 3-axle, if you pull the 3-axle equipment trailer. Yeah, Brandon, my salary wouldn't double. I'd have way more work and I would make less money. I kind of live by, Justin was talking about this earlier in his live stream. He believes in owning newer equipment because it costs more to use older equipment, which in my experience is completely true. My truck is the oldest truck in the fleet, and in the last year, it's been down. And part of this is because my company, our mechanics are so overwhelmed with things that are going on. So when my truck needs something major, it gets sent out. And when you send it out, those companies that do the work for you, they're not in a hurry to get it done. They don't care. And so last spring, my truck was down for 3 weeks straight while they were working on my DPF system. And then in November, when my transmission went out, it didn't go out. I was still driving it, but they decided to replace it because I didn't have 3rd or 7th gear. I just toughed it out because I wanted to keep working. But when it was down for a whole week to replace the transmission and the clutch and the rear main, when that should have been a day and a half job. But I don't know. So basically, we were talking about this earlier actually, but part of everyone that I've known that started their own company, they've had either a family member or a friend that's been able to either finance the truck, like they owned the truck already and then they carried the loan while you bought it from them, or they've had family members that have loaned them money or friends. And I just don't have that. And so I do have the ability to save money to create, like to save up for a down payment on a truck. Plus you need operating expenses for the first month or two. And, but getting a startup loan for a business is really difficult. And it's not something I'm really interested in doing. And Justin's right. Yeah, I make a ton of money and I have really good benefits. But if I was to own my own truck, which it's not really on the table right now, I would stay in the union to keep my benefits. And I would just end up paying into the union the same way my company pays in, which would be really expensive. But I would get to keep my pension, keep my health benefits, which are really important to me. Yeah, Jamie, you're right. To hire somebody to cover, when I wasn't working or whatever, it'd be really hard to find somebody that was worth it. Yeah. Have fun cutting your grass. Yeah, Justin, I completely agree with you. That's everybody's question, though. They ask me constantly if I'm going to buy my own truck, constantly. And it's definitely something that I've always thought about, but it's not really something that I should be thinking about right now. Oh, man. Are you guys, is everybody still working right now? Anybody? Because a friend of mine that I actually met through YouTube, he just bought a truck I know that's why he contacted me a few months ago. But he just started working, and it seems like things are starting to pick up. Yeah, Justin, you're right. I'm sure. Part of the reason why I bought this house, though, was because it has truck parking. Not just to, not just for me to be able to bring my truck home, because I was thinking about the possibility of buying my own truck. Oh, Brandon, it's cool. It's definitely way different depending on where you live, and if I was still non-union, I would be either in the situation of making a move to join the union or to buy my own truck, because the non-union companies, they don't, around here, they don't provide a lot of benefits. And like, you basically, you get your hourly wage and that's it, and you don't have any kind of retirement or anything like that. And if you are making $22 an hour, probably like $26 an hour now, you're making $26 an hour, and then you go into owning your own truck and you're charging between $110 and $150 an hour for the truck rate, you can definitely increase your income for sure. Derek, that's Bomber. She's asleep. She had a long morning of running mice around the trees in the yard, so she's tired. Yeah, Jamie, I respect that. That's crazy. As a mom, I think that would be really hard. Dave, yeah, a lot of people have. It's sad. Kirk, I'm in Washington State. Timothy, they don't work us on Sundays because they can't afford it. But we do work some Saturdays. The Sundays, though, I don't even want to work Sundays, because when you start making that kind of money, because Sundays is double time, and you start making that kind of money, and the government comes in and they go from taking what they already take, like, what, 30%, and they go from taking your 30% and they move it up to 50, and you're like, oh wow, I didn't realize that I took all this extra time from my family, because like, so that I could make my life better, but also the government can make their lives better, so they can go spend all the money that I worked for on stupid crap I don't agree with. But yeah, at some point I will be a pilot. Actually, ground school is about ready to start back up here, so I will have to continue to go back to school, actually physically go. But they're not. Ground school is going to restart, but then they are not allowed to do any of the flight training yet. So we'll get back to that. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I may not go back to flight training until after the baby's born, just because if they don't open flight training back up until August and I'm 8 months pregnant, I just don't know if that's such a good idea for me to be trying to learn to fly and be huge. It's one thing to drive a dump truck, something that I've done every day for the last, however many years, and be pregnant. But I just don't know if trying to learn to fly a plane 8 months pregnant is a good idea. Jamie, why'd you stop through instrument training? I'm getting my private right now. I would think that once you got that far, because so far the private pilot, obviously each endorsement you get, you learn more, and it builds on what you originally learned. But I've heard that instrument training is hard. Brandon, no, you're not required to do anything. You get your license and you make the choice on what you want to do. I I drove over the road because I wanted to, not because I had to. And I did have a street sweeper job that was offered to me, and a dump truck job that was offered to me straight out of school. But when I got my CDL in 2006, you have to remember that we were um, at the peak of the construction industry in this region right before the crash. And so nobody could find truck drivers, and people were willing to train. There's more companies that, well, this time last year, there were several companies that were willing to train you locally. Um, but most companies wanted you to have some experience in exactly what they did. Just like dump trucking, most of the ads, if you look at dump truck jobs around here, they want you to have 2 to 3 years experience truck and trailer before they'll hire you to start you at $20 an hour. Like, so you want me to have 3 years truck and trailer experience, and you want to pay me $20 an hour? No, thank you. No, thank you. I'm not doing that. Dave, our company, as a truck driver, you would need to be able to get into the union. You either need to go through the apprenticeship, or you need to have 2 years truck and trailer experience or 2 years lowboy experience. Our company doesn't even have a lowboy, so that wouldn't even apply to our company. But to join the union, you have to have 2 years verifiable experience in whatever piece of equipment you're going to be driving, if that makes sense. And it can't be a hodgepodge of a bunch of different stuff. You have to have 2 years in that exact piece of equipment. Yeah, Jamie, I'm sure that's hard. Dave, I want to be a commercial pilot eventually. It's not gonna be anytime soon. And it's not that I don't love driving dump truck. It's that it's just, I like to do new things and try new things. And I think that it would be really cool to fly a 747. Dump trucks are kind of small and light now. I want something bigger and heavier and a little more aggressive. Oh, Jamie, that's cool. Yeah, when I go back to flying, I'm going to see if my instructor will let me bring my camera with me. I didn't ask him before because I was too afraid, but I'm not really afraid now. Oh, Jamie, that's really cool. Yeah, my brother-in-law has a couple of planes, and he's offered to teach me some, but he's been too busy to actually do all my instructing, which is totally fine. I mean, I get it. He's busy. Yeah, Willard, you're right. That's the thing that I've told people. Bye, Justin. I'm sure you've had a long day. Tony, I do sometimes, not a lot. We almost never work Sunday. I don't think I've ever, in the union, I don't think I've ever worked a Sunday. Sundays are double time. And then Saturdays are time and a half. So we don't work a lot of Saturdays unless it's absolutely necessary. There's a bomber. Freaking cat. Yeah, did you watch all the trucks today, Justin? Because I'm sure that you're exhausted. And just dealing with the live wire, I would be exhausted from that. Dave, I put in my time. Like I mentioned earlier, I drove when I first started driving dump truck. The first dump truck I ever drove was a '78 Mack, And this thing was the biggest piece of crap ever. It had the passenger seat in it, had a milk crate that was flipped over upside down for the passenger seat. And it was just the biggest piece of junk ever. And that thing had fluids leaking out everywhere. But I put in, I think it was 5 months in that truck. And then the company went under because it was at the beginning of the crash, the housing market crash. And that company went under. And then I went to work for another company that was the shadiest company I've ever worked for. I have some good stories about some of the illegal crap that I pulled without knowing what I was doing because I was too young and naive to know any better. And I learned a lot from working for that guy, a lot about people and a lot about construction and a lot about figuring things out when you have problems. But basically, if you want to drive dump truck and you want to get experience and you have no experience driving dump truck, you have to be willing to do whatever it takes. You have to be willing to drive the old piece of junk equipment. You have to be willing to do the job where they want you to drive, like the company that has one dump truck and they want you to haul a piece of equipment to a job site and then do manual labor on the job site and haul the equipment back, because I've had to do that, and that's how I got to where I am. You have to be willing to do whatever anybody asks within reason. Yeah, Jamie, I wouldn't be doing instructing. I went to Women in Aviation this year, back at the beginning of March, and I found a few freight jobs, flying smaller planes in Montana and Arizona. They do pay less than truck driving, but not a lot less, and you can get your hours that way. I'm just gonna be real with you guys. I think I'd be too scared to instruct because I'm not a patient person. I'm just gonna be real. Willard, no, Kenworth is better. Brian, we don't have any paid time off. We don't have any. That's just how it goes. There's no paid time off in construction unless you work for a company that offers it. Oh, just 2 trucks, Justin? Okay. I'm sure dealing with him every day is exhausting. Brian, I do take vacations, but they're unpaid. It's just like I'm going to Arizona for a week in the first week of July for my birthday, and where everybody's going, and I'm just going to take time off unpaid. It's fine. Brandon, I've never been in a small plane that had parachutes. That seems really weird. And I've been on some small planes, like a Cessna. The main planes that I've flown are Cessna 152s, and there's no parachutes. You have to try to do your best to save the plane. Yeah, Jamie. You should look up Cape Air. That's the company out of Montana that I was looking at, and their equipment looks pretty good. And their starting salary after the bonus was 65 grand a year. And in Montana, that's not too bad. Of course, I think it's actually really good money in Montana. Yeah, We've never owned a Peterbilt. I did look and see and ask some questions, but we've actually never owned a Peterbilt. But the paint scheme that's on our truck is one that's available from the factory. So it's something, and I've seen our paint scheme on a couple other trucks too. So it is very similar though. Dave, yes, the Mac was road legal, but I don't think it should have been. It was bad. It was janky, and yeah, it was bad. The company that I worked for after that, the really shady one, had an end dump, and that's where I drove end dump. And that's where I learned to drive truck and trailer also. And the owner of that company would tell you to get material from the pit and put it on a company that we were working for's account for a job that they were doing, like that we were doing for them. And then once you had the rock, and you have your slip from that company, so you're hauling the material, but the company that you're doing the work for paid for the material. And then he would tell me to take it to the yard or take it wherever else and not take it to the job site. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was 21 years old, and I just did whatever I was told, and I had no idea what I was doing until I kind of figured it out later on. And I actually had to file some paperwork with the state because of it. Dave, I don't know what lazy is. I obviously I do lazy things. And when I took the kids to Hawaii, I laid on the beach or at the pool every day for a whole week, and we didn't do a lot. We went to the aquarium and we went to a few different beaches, but that was about it. Yeah, Willard, the companies that I've worked for that offered PTO paid really low wages, so it wasn't even worth it. Yeah, Timothy, it's funny because my sister works in the medical field, and the only time she can take time off of work is if she has PTO. And so she uses it all up. She can't take any time off of work. And I'm like, I went to Alaska in January. I went to Florida in March. I'm going to Arizona in July. And she's like, I don't know how you can take so much time off of work. And I was like, there's somebody to cover for me. I can leave. They don't have to pay me. So as long as there's somebody to cover, like to drive my truck, I can take as much time off as I want. It's up to me. Willard, I haven't even thought about flying a helicopter. It's not even on my radar. Tony, my truck is an 18 speed. Kayla, I'm in your room. Yes. Oh, Brandon, are you afraid of flying, Brandon? I'm not afraid of flying at all. It's fun. Oh, hi, Lydia. Lydia is my good friend from working at the big company that must not be named. Yeah, Jamie, the military gets a bunch of paid leave. It's good. Lydia, what are you doing? I miss you too. I called you a bunch of times when I passed you last week, and you didn't answer. And then you honked at me the next time I passed you like I hadn't called you. It's just rude. Sometimes I wish that I had paid time off, but then I wouldn't want to be in a situation where I couldn't take time off because of I didn't have any PTO left. Yeah, I know you were aggressively honking. I was there. Dave, no, I'm not. Like, I'll fix things in the field or do whatever I need to do to make sure that things are working properly, but I'm not a mechanic. That's why I'm engaged to a mechanic, is because I'm not a mechanic. I'm okay with that. I'm not. Yeah, Brandon. I thought you were gonna go sand or something. You keep threatening to leave, and then you just keep coming back. Bye, Timothy. Yeah, I'm gonna try to get another video out, kind of like the one from last week, in the next few days. Dave, yeah, I do have a garden. I do. My pumpkins all died. I'm very upset about it, as you can see. So I'm trying to regrow corn and my pumpkins, and then I have one more dahlia to plant, and hopefully I can get my last dahlia in the ground. Oh, thank you, Willard. Thank you. And my cherry tree died also, guys. I'm really heartbroken. So now I'm trying to find a Rainier cherry tree around here to replace the one that just died. But it's not, it's kind of, the season's kind of over. But sad. I found like a Bing cherry tree, but I wanted a Rainier. Okay. Okay, Brandon. Have fun sanding. Dave, no, I do not. He makes not a lot more than me, but more. Yeah, Jamie, I took diesel mechanics in high school. I've wanted to be a truck driver since I was a little kid, and I wanted to know more about how the trucks worked and that kind of stuff. And so that's why I took diesel mechanics in high school, and I actually really enjoyed it. And I almost went to mechanic school, actually the same school that my fiance ended up going to years later. But the dog is barking. But I think I made the right choice for me. I think I'm more of an operator than a mechanic, if that makes sense. Like, I like to be in the driver's seat, and I like to be in control of the vehicle and the horsepower. Willard, he is so great. He doesn't care. I told him that I was going to make a YouTube channel, and he watches a lot of YouTube, and he's like, yeah, go for it. He's like, I think these guys have to work really hard at their channels, though, to be as successful as they are. And I was like, I should give it a shot. We'll see. I mean, I grew up, the only art I took in high school was video production, and I'm still not that good at it. I get it. But I used to win awards for my videos in high school at the competitions and stuff. So I decided that it would be fun to do, and he's been really supportive. He bought me, for Mother's Day, he bought me a GoPro. That's how I was able to get the shots of dumping out the trailer. And I've got some more stuff to go with the GoPro to make it cooler. No. When I do get an F350, it absolutely won't be dually, and it absolutely won't be a platinum. Yeah. Yeah, he supports me. Yeah, Jamie, Lydia, the girl that commented right above you, she and I worked together at another construction company. But that construction company was so big, we had 4 female truck drivers, and that's the only company I've ever worked at that I worked with other truck drivers. Like I work at a company now where I'm the only woman that works in the field at all. And then it was the same thing with the company that I worked at before I joined the union. They had about 300 employees, and out of 300, like probably like 30 of them were in the office, and then the rest were in the field. And I was the only woman that worked in the field. Um, I I love it when I have other women to go to, though, because one thing in this industry is there's so few women, and I the other women that work in the industry usually have personalities and are hard workers like I am. So it kind of like, that you have something in common with them, and it's a good way to make friends because you already have so much in common in personality to be able to survive that. Dave, he is a diesel mechanic. When we met, I was sled pulling as my main hobby, and one of his close friends, who's also a diesel mechanic, was sled pulling against me, and that's how we met. Willard, I think I chose wisely too. He's a good guy. No, I've never heard of auto auction rebuilds. Yeah, a lot of people are go-getters. I kind of gravitate towards them. Willard, you have a good day. I'm trying to look outside and see what's going on because the dog's freaking out. I don't know why. Lydia, where's Tim? Is Tim also watching in the background? Mm-mm. Okay, guys. Well, with the dog freaking out and me not being able to see the front of the house, I should probably get going here. Probably end the live stream for today. Probably kind of long. Kale probably wants me out of his room. Oh, thank you, Jamie. I enjoyed your conversation. I appreciate it. Okay, guys. Well, I think I'm gonna go and work on a video. I'm doing something different tomorrow than I have done, but I'm gonna be solo, so you guys can see what it's like to see me rip around without a trailer. Okay, you guys have a good weekend.